Today's sewing machines offer so many options that make sewing more fun and relaxing than ever. The new machines are all about options. I no longer think that there are any things that I can do better by hand. In this session, you will learn how to recognize when it's time to buy a new machine and what features are important in a new machine.
What trap do people fall into? Many people put off buying a new sewing machine because their machine still runs. It may be 20 to 40 years old, but hey, it will still make a stitch. Just because it works doesn't mean it's working for you, and probably it's working against you.
We get it. Sewing machines are difficult to part with. Maybe you received it as a gift for graduation or for a wedding. You've sewn lots of fond memories with that machine. So parting is often truly sorrowful and sometimes tearful. The results? Certainly, you know it's time for an upgrade if your machine screeches to a halt,
or if you say lots of bad words while you're sewing.
Maybe you think your sewing machine doesn't like you.
Sometimes the need for an upgrade is a little more subtle.
Perhaps you would like to try some new projects or techniques, but you don't think that your machine will handle it.
Like sewing a new tote bag, which uses heavier fabrics, or putting in a zipper in a pillow. You may notice that you avoid projects with buttonholes or zippers.
Maybe you do all your quilting or applique by hand. That is not a problem, just as long as the reason you are doing something by hand is because you love it, not because your machine can't handle it. You get the idea?
So what's our solution?
So it's time to look for a new sewing machine. How do you decide what you really need in a machine to make creating fun again? Some of the things to consider have nothing to do with the sewing machine features.
You should be looking for support and education.
Does the person that's selling you that machine even sew?
Yeah.
So number one is, what qualifies the person selling the machine to talk about the fabulous sewing features? Are they even an avid sewist?
What do they make? Quilts, garments, items for your home? Maybe they don't make anything at all.
The person selling the machine cannot begin to tell you why you would use certain features if they are only repeating information they learned from a script. Perhaps that's harsh, but it's honest. So the number one thing is, does the salesperson sew?
So what's tip number 2?
Education.
Ooh.
What education will be provided on the features of the machine, and how are they integrated into your sewing project?
That's so important. Oftentimes people are like, this button does this, that button does that, but how are you going to use that in a project? You need somebody to teach you.
Sadly, we see that so frequently when people come with their sewing machines into the classroom. They really don't know any of the fabulous features they have in their machines. And when we ask them, didn't they get any kind of education from the person who sold them the machine?
Yeah, they don't even know that that's a thing that they should look for. They're like, oh, somebody was supposed to teach me how to use this. I don't just touch it and learn how to use it. No, you need help.
So, knowledgeable staff that's available to you, to teach you maybe one-on-one.
In a group setting.
To be able to answer your questions either via phone or when you stop into the shop. So now, what about sewing machine features? What are our must-haves? The first off, a built-in even feed system.
Like on the Pfaff.
So that, why that's so important is that anytime you are sewing on your sewing machine, your feed dogs are going to pull your fabric from towards the back, and your presser foot is going to push along on the top of that fabric. More layers create more fabric creep. And so that what happens then is when I get to the end of sewing something, it's either twisted or it's mismatched.
Yeah, and that's so frustrating, especially if you've worked really hard to like pin your fabrics together and have them nice and even. But an even feed system feeds from the top and the bottom, right?
And
so it pulls everything, all of your layers at once.
You don't
love that.
even know that it's there, and it takes the place of this clunky walking foot. So
What does a walking foot do,
This
though?
was this having the even feed system was a game changer for me. Actually, the walking foot, this goes above your needle bar, so it really lifts this up so that it is really just moving along sort of like this. This is exaggerated, so it doesn't push your fabric.
Okay.
But just look at that foot. You really can't see what you're doing, and I find it really loud and annoying.
Yeah, like this is huge. If I was trying to put a zipper in and use this, like how would it get into my garment? It wouldn't. So we prefer a machine that has a built-in even feed system because it is very sleek and small, and so we can get into those tiny spaces
with multiple feet.
So I can only use this one foot.
Yeah.
With an even feed system, I can change my foot and still use my even feed. Oh, I love that. So we can find those features on the Pfaff sewing machines. Awesome.
How many needle positions does a machine have? In our older machines, our needles didn't move at all, or sometimes we only had 3 needle positions. In this machine actually has 37 needle positions.
37?
Vanna, can you show us how that works?
Sure. So you can use a series of buttons right here on the front of your machine, and that will move the needle outside of the center position to the left or to the right. And you will be able to move your needle in 2 millimeter increments. So instead of taking your project to meet your machine, you make your machine meet your project. So you'll just click a few little buttons and move the needle piece by piece by piece until it's exactly where you want it to be.
So that what we can do is that we can use the edge of our presser foot as our guide and move our needle position around, which makes it so much easier to sew accurately.
I know, I actually love moving my needle position when I'm doing something like top stitching, stitching in the ditch on a quilt. I use this to get an accurate 1/4 of an inch, all kinds of things.
Another feature that we find really, really necessary is the clearance, or how high does our presser foot lift. So that, why is that important? If I want to make a bag like this, you can see right here, this is really very thick.
Yeah.
There's lots of layers here. And so on this machine, you can see I can take my finger and stick under there.
Just don't stitch me, I'll show.
I can actually even lift that higher, where on this one, actually, that's as high as it will
This is
go.
all it goes up?
Yes.
You can barely fit a piece of paper in there.
I'm trying to figure out, how do you fit all that in underneath there? And then what happens is that you start pulling everything from the back and your needle breaks. And then people are like, what's wrong with my machine? My needle keeps breaking. It's because this is way too thick and it will not fit under your presser foot.
I will say too, this machine, what it says on here is, so it's multiple layers of denim. Okay, we have multiple layers of denim here. And guys, like, I can't even get them underneath. So like, sorry, this is false advertising. But over here, look at that, so much clearance. Hold on, we can even like fold our layers of denim, right? I've folded it a bunch of times. And that still goes under there so easily.
And it will sew through that, trust us.
Yes.
It will sew through there. Another feature that we love is the auto presser foot lift. So that if we stop this, oh my gosh, you're doing it without any hands. Oh my goodness. But look at, if we put our foot in the down position and we put our needle in the down position, look at what it does. The foot lifts just a little bit so that you can just come to a corner, turn, and off you go.
Yeah, I love the hover mode. This is really important. So some machines will have that automatic presser foot lift, so you're not looking for the lifter on the side or the back of your machine.
Another feature that I know Jessica is in love with is the size of the bed space. So can you talk about that for us today?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, what is bed space? If we look at these two machines that we have here, the bed space is your working space that you have from your needle to the arm of your machine. And you can see that this one is like, it's so tiny. And on this machine, you've got a lot more space. This is the equivalent of like sleeping in like your doll's bed. And this is like sleeping on a California king. And that's the kind of bed that I would want to be in. Why does this matter to your sewing? Well, if you have a large quilt that you're trying to quilt on a machine like this, it literally will not fit in here, right? And when you have a little bit more space, like in this machine, you have a lot more room to move around, which is why bed space is really important.
In a California king.
Just like in a California king, 100%.
One-step buttonholes.
Yes.
I used to make lots of garments from the time I was really little, and the machines I used did not have a one-step buttonhole. So like on this one, you'll see, while it does say down here somewhere, one-step buttonhole, look at here, you have to change a dial every time to be able to get a buttonhole.
How long is it going to take you to make your buttonhole on your machine, Kathy? Can I show you how fast it's going to be on mine? Look, we're just going to start it. Bye.
Oh my gosh, no hands. It's doing it all itself. That is amazing. I want one of those.
I know.
So for everyone who's always been afraid to make a buttonhole, no longer. And one of the things that we didn't talk about was that we do think that having a little bit of a computer brain in your machine makes things so much easier.
It's true.
Oftentimes people think that a little computer brain, they're like, oh, I don't need that. I don't want that. But look at what it was able to do, so that I often say, as its brain gets bigger, mine can get smaller. Because
that little bit of
does
technology makes things just a little bit more easier. You have that autonomy. You can push something and trust that it will, you know, complete the stitch or complete a buttonhole in this case really, really easily.
And beautifully.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful buttonhole.
There are so many other additional fabulous features. Some are built-in thread trimmers, so at the touch of a button, your thread can be snipped. I also love a nice sized computerized screen that actually shows you what your stitch is going to look like when you change the length and the width. We also like to have a little bit wider of a stitch, so a 9mm stitch, sometimes a 12mm stitch is really, really helpful to expand your creativity.
All these features are just awesome. And it's actually often mesmerizing. Like, I was just watching Jessica do this. I was mesmerized myself.
Yes.
I forgot that I was supposed to be talking because I was watching the sewing machine. Anyway, I hope this video has helped you decide it's time to upgrade your sewing machine and what features to look for that will fuel your creativity.
Join us at Smile Spinners, where we can do a test sew with you, and we can help you decide which level machine might be right for you.